Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Saturday Smackdown for, this time, the week 27th of September 2014. This is game number 1 in a best of 7 series between Aizamk and Boneng. It was asked in the comments, and we managed to get it together. We have Aizamk versus Boneng for this series, for this Smackdown. Spawning in the north of the map, in the colour red, playing as the Chinese here. 3 wood crates, they're not too bad. Same as last time. This is attempt number 2, by the way, for the benefit of the people on YouTube. But here we have Boneng in the colour red, playing as China. Down to the south, in the colour blue, we have Aizamk, playing as the Germans. The map is Siberia. Zuta, what do you think of this matchup, then?
You know, this matchup is honestly pretty even. I think both players, especially on this map, have really good fortress-based options, which I think we're going to see come to fruition. I don't think it's really that uneven, to be perfectly fair. I do think that maybe China has a slight advantage, but I don't think it's the largest of advantages. Germany has some fairly poor matchups, and I don't think this one is overly poor. So I think we'll see both civs advance to the third age relatively quickly, maybe in fact just doing straight FFs. And we'll have to see what happens as the progression there. There's really not a lot of variety for what you can do when you get into Fortress. You can just click your shipments, hopefully with a trading post, and try and get some sort of positional advantage. And I think that's what we'll see here.
Yeah. You think just a straight-up naked fast fortress from both players. Of course, China are very good at that. They've certainly got the shipments for it, and China just a very strong civilization in the fortress age. But Germany, I'm tempted to say they're more economic focused, and their fortress age play is usually off the back of some semi-FF where they've got crazy villager shipments. They're so strong, like the 2 settler wagons is the equivalent of 4, and obviously the 3 settler wagons as well. I feel as if their fortress play is often off the back of that, but I think you said once that they can at least go straight up to fortress.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, there's a couple of different builds you can do. You can do like an over-popping 3 settler wagon build where you like go up to 19 build pop and then like ship 3 settler wagons, and then you're at like 27 or 28 or whatever pop out of 19, but you're still able to age. There's he could certainly ship like 700 wood and do something trade post based or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be out of the question whatsoever. China, I think, is maybe a little bit more restricted in that respect. I don't really anticipate China going with any sort of eco build or any sort of H2 first build. More standard for them just to go straight up. But Germany has slightly more options, and we'll see whether or not he elects to take any of those options.
All right. Aizamk picking up a 110 wood treasure there, and that Explorer, hold on a moment. I thought for a moment there, I thought he was heading over to a trading post, and but then I checked if the settlers are on wood, but they're not. But you could see a trading post, and that 110 wood certainly going to make that a lot easier.
Yeah, and I think in any sort of FF build, Germany wants to incorporate a trading post just because of their slight disadvantage when it comes to XP trickle. Probably not a lot of people know this, but Germany do gather XP slightly slower than all other European civs, just because they get those free cav with each of their shipments. So that is something that is fairly standard to see Germany do, and something that's quite by the book. And I think,
is it something that, well, obviously we're likely to see it anyway, but with the 110 wood, is it more likely that we'll see perhaps 2 trading posts here? Is that, or are you just going to use the wood, the extra wood that you found, to just to be less gather time on wood wasted, essentially, so that you can have more resources to get up to the fortress age sooner?
It's certainly something that's possible. I think it's something that
this is Aizamk we're talking about.
Yeah, 110 wood goes a long way. We're obviously going to see the first trading post with his Explorer just kind of hovering around here. His Explorer might even get caught, though, by the Chinese monk. He's got to be careful.
Those Asian Explorers so much stronger, and the War Chief ones. He's
smart little thing there by Ace. He saw the monk coming through in vision with his market in his town center, and instead of building the trade post immediately right beside him, went up to the middle location where he was less likely to be spotted. He is down to 140 HP, so if he were to get caught by this little brigade of the monk, perhaps the disciple as well, he would likely die before he even got the trading post up. So smart little play by him there take a quick jog up.
And this also might result in getting in his experience points sooner as well, since that trade rickshaw man
It's going to be really close. Yeah, I think he's actually going to get it.
Oh, he does get it just in time. Not too bad there. Yeah, 2 trading posts. The foundation is down. There's a settler wagon down in the south of the map there. He's definitely thinking about something trading post orientated.
Yeah,
Definitely make his fortress very strong.
We'll have to see whether or not something like 700 wood comes first, or whether it's something like just straight like 700 gold. I'm not seeing a lot of villagers over gathering gold, which makes me think that like he's probably going to do something 700 gold based and just use this wood to get something, maybe even another trading post. Could just go for all of the trading posts. It's really hard to say. He hasn't really tipped his hand. Boneng, on the other hand, is quite showing in what he's going to do. Has 1,000 food already stockpiled, working his way up to that 300 coin required to kind of wombo combo with the 700 gold. And
700 plus 300. There it is,
Yeah.
700 coin. Yep.
So Boneng doing something fairly straightforward. Is I'm still not. It's still hard to get a perfect read. We could see something like 700 wood or 700 coin. Looks like 3 settler wagons is going to be the call. And we'll have to see. Actually doing his. I think I mentioned this last stream. I think I mentioned this last stream. The patented Aizamk tower build, which I'm actually not a fan of, because if we take a little gander at what China has here, this tower really is not.
Those 2 Yolans might be able to take out a village. Oh, almost. Yes, go ahead though.
This tower is really not going to do anything in the grand scheme of things. Could have just as well like made a barracks or a stable or something and used it in that way. One thing I do want to mention here about Boneng's wonder placement, it's really, really solid. It's kind of wedged here in between this village and the town center.
Wow.
Meaning that these 2 cav really don't have anywhere that they can raid. Combined with very good herding in the early game. These 2 cav, which normally would be a bit annoying to deal with and you would have to spend a lot of time idling, are going to be rather ineffective. He can continue just to pop villagers in and out.
That villager there might go down though.
Yeah,
does get 1 kill in.
It's
pretty good. I mean, that wonder placement right in between the town centre and the village. These villagers can garrison so easily if they need to, if those cavalry come in. But Germany, you know, the 2... he sent two villagers, 2 settler wagons. All he sent is settler wagons this game. So his economy is going to be absolutely great. But anyway, the free cav here, definitely making good use of them, despite how difficult that should really be.
Yeah, and I mean, Boneng has brought his monk back. The monk does provide... at least the snare and the little bit of damage and the disciple-making ability. So he is going to be able to clean those up and going to get aging fairly quickly. But, yeah.
700 wood on the floor.
Yeah, 700 wood. Pretty standard stuff. Northern refugees, 700 gold, 700 wood. That's
everything you'd expect from a fast
looking to play China, that is by the book, age 3.
It's just a naked FF. That's pretty standard, isn't it? You see that from Spain and vanilla. Or Ottoman as well, I suppose. And this is just an FF, isn't it?
Yep, and for people wondering, with that 700 wood, very standard to make a consulate, a war academy, which is 400, an extra village, and a market, which is where basically your 700 wood goes. Start chopping a little bit of wood. Yeah, both up to fortress at the same time. And you just use that 700 wood that way. And we'll see, here comes the war academy consulate already down. A couple other little interesting things that I did want to note from Boneng's play here. He did switch the Summer Palace over to the Keshik and Pike army, which is maximum
now using,
anti-cav.
by the looks of it, to grab an 80 XP treasure.
But more importantly, is some nice early defense against potential Ulans against his arquebusiers. When China does get aged up, he is going to have those naked 8 arquebusiers. And so in order to avoid having to call Minutemen to defend those from, the 4 or so potential cav that are going to be available from A's, shipping, just making sure that you have those pike and those Keshiks is going to keep them alive. Yeah,
Improved Mercenaries has just arrived. What is he having planned here? So far his build has just been straight up settler wagons, which, and he managed to get up at the same time, pretty much as Boneng, with 2 trading posts here. He's
a lot more. The tavern as well, just in case you haven't seen that. Yeah,
Oh,
Cookie's
forward.
Tavern.
So he's training mercenaries there. Jaeger's straight out here. So that's what all of these villages are about. He wants to fund a really expensive mercenary army. My initial thoughts on what he was doing was that it was so economically focused that, and he's not sending 700 wood or 700 coins, so it'd be a lot slower. And because of that, he's just got so many villages out. The fast fortress pressure will come a bit later. As you can see, Boneng's army is absolutely massive compared, because he's funded the military production facilities and his population out of wood and managed to get up really easily with the 700 coin. All of these units are going to be out so much quicker than A's. He's a bit behind because of the villages he's been sending, but if the longer this game goes, the better that will be for A's. I'm just worried if he'll be able to cope in this early portion of the game here. That is a large army.
He did send 8 skirmishes next card, which is a good in-betweener card for his mercenary-based strategy. If we take a look at what China has right now, they certainly don't have a lot of cav. He does have a few meteor hammers, a couple of those iron flails as well, but certainly not a huge mass at this point. Mostly just an infantry-based army, which is going to fall pretty quickly to... he's a couple Stradions mixed in as well.
Yeah. I feel, he's got the redcoat intervention musketeers out, and there is some heavy infantry mixed in there. And Keshiks, they're just weak. All of these things are just weak to skirmishes here. Oh, an engagement coming in here. The cavalry coming in onto the arquebusier there, but actually deciding to get out. And but just the redcoats on the front there. I guess he doesn't want to engage.
Pretty good positioning here so far by Boneng, getting his cav into a pretty good spot. The Stradions are doing a lot of damage. They are a very high hand attack value unit, so if they're not punished by anti-cav, they do a pretty good job in the actual fights. And honestly, this fight's looking to come about even, all things considered.
Like, losing all of his skirmishes and the Jaegers, the really expensive mercenary units there, though actually... I'm not sure who came off worse in terms of resources though. Certainly the result of the army was fine, and actually I suppose Red taking a slight victory here.
Yeah, and honestly, even if Red were to have 0 units left after this is something that China is perfectly fine with. In the grand scheme of things, China, anytime they're trading, because their units are so cost efficient, and they're just getting more and more XP, that they can, kind of snowball into more and more units. It's just kind of a vicious cycle once it gets started. This is something that China's perfectly fine with. He's going to be able to remass just fine off the back of this. And
those Chang Dao's doing a good job against the war wagons. I mean, war wagons moving so much slower that they're able to get into do their hand combat. Multiple.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think this is something that China is going to be perfectly fine with. Plus, you have to, combine into the equation the fact that mercenaries take so long to train. He has spent quite a bit of time idling with his villagers near that gold mine and stuff as well. So,
he does have a sizable amount of villagers on the gold mine to the south there, and I feel as if the Aizamk has, he sent all of these early settlers. He's got such a strong economy from it. I mean, Germany have the best settler shipments in the game, period. And because of he's sent all of these, and he's actually managed to come out even in that first fight, I feel as if he, for the rest of the game, has a nice place to actually take it from him and keep pushing out the units with his military. Whereas China will, yes, he's still got a lot of shipments to come. They're going to come out quickly, but I feel as if he'll slow down, and his economy obviously isn't quite good as Germany. What do you think, Zuga?
I mean, that is true, but at the same time, he's still got a lot of scary shipments left. Although, I mean, there's still a lot of stuff out for Germany. This is kind of Germany just in general. 11 Chang Dao did pop out just now. There's still the arquebusier shipment, which is available, which is very, very scary to consider.
Those war wagons getting caught, not too good for him. That's literally 600 resources just gone.
Yeah. There's just so much good shipments here still from China. I just anticipate... he's got another shipment here now already. I think we'll probably see something like 10 arquebusiers and then another push. And in that time, he's probably going to be able to make another batch of redcoats. Looks like those are training right now.
Yeah.
It's just his remass is going to be so strong. Just the cheapness and the efficiency of getting units out of the War Academy. It's going to have another batch of redcoats coming in. Going to have the reinforcements coming in. All of a sudden, China's army just explodes out of nowhere. It's just something that you don't really expect. I mean, A's probably thinks, yeah, I had an okay trade there. I went about even. And then look at just what China's army has developed into in under 30 like 30 seconds, just what he's all pulled together versus what Germany has pulled together in the same amount of time. And it's just, well, I mean, we can take the pop says it all, 55 versus 25.
Wow, that's something. He has a lot of cav here, Blue, and I'm sort of worried about that. I mean, look at the amount, the disciplined Shangdaos are quite efficient against them. Though there are, having said that, quite a lot of arquebusiers there, which the cav are good against. In terms of like sort of the units they have at the moment, is going pure cav, sort of a. Well, obviously he's not going to be going pure cav. I suppose has he got more Jaegers in queue? Yes,
yeah,
he does.
I think he needs some more Jaegers. Certainly,
Red pushing his base right now.
Yeah, this is. I mean, and smart play by Boneng. He knows that the gold mines are kind of what's going to keep Aizamk alive here. As long as he can control where the gold mines are.
That wreck's going down.
Yeah, there's a lot of infrastructure. Maybe a little sloppy over here, building all these houses so far away from the defendability of this tower in the town center.
Absolutely.
When all is said and done,
the Black Riders are out.
Yeah, if that tower had been 2 extra houses, I think A's would have had a little bit more of flexibility with those houses. But
that's true.
It does get the crow.
Taking the crow out, but now in combat with all of these Changdaos, and they're going to absolutely rip cavalry apart. He really doesn't want to fight them there. Using the Black Riders to perhaps get some damage off on them. He could kite them a little bit, but all the time taking damage from the arquebusier in the back, which of course have a ×2 multiplier against ranged cavalry such as Black Riders.
Yeah, and this fight is just going really good for Boneng. We do have a couple of Jaegers over here. Unfortunately, they're all in melee mode fighting against the monk, which is pretty good play by Boneng. Yeah.
It is going down, though, that, what's it, cover mode monk that you hate so much.
Yeah, he's annoying.
Oh, but, just by the strength of mercenaries, I mean, they are just really strong units independently. He has actually managed to sort of come out on top here, I guess. Black Riders, and a couple of Ulans there definitely helping him out, but Black Riders just so strong as a unit, being able to overwhelm the arquebusier, obviously with some help from these Jaegers in the back as well.
Yeah. And more importantly, we do have to remember he does have the improved mercenaries, which is like something like 20%, which is like absolute ridiculousness. So
it's a really efficient shipment.
It is. Black Riders, which are already like a really strong, beefy unit, do get just that little bit extra more punch associated with them as well, which is scary. So.
Yeah, like if you take a look at the Germany's home city, he also, it doesn't have it in there, but I think a lot of civilizations have, obviously Fortress Age upgrades that are equal to 30% bonus. You get 15 attack and hit points, that is. But, with the mercenaries, it's actually 20% attack and hit points, so it's like the equivalent of 40%. It's actually really good.
Yeah, it's a quite good card. Unfortunately, on the other hand, you do have to make mercenaries with it. And if you're not going to sink large amounts of resources into making mercenaries, which can be kind of sketchy to use sometimes, then you're not really getting full advantage. But this has all of a sudden become like a really scary, perhaps unkillable army. I mean, if we take a look at the composition, it's
essentially Dragoon Skirm with a couple of cav mixed in. But these are no ordinary Dragoons or skirmishes. These are like super...
There's 12 Jaegers out. There's 12 Jaegers on the field right now, which is...
Oh, God.
Which is going to be very difficult to deal with. 4 Black Riders still, and even the 9 Vet Ulan are quite difficult to deal with. A little bit of a raid going on here on the right. Looks like Boneng not going to be able to get much done with that, but... I don't know. This is maybe going to get a little scary for Boneng. Lost his War Academy, has rebuilt it to the north, but...
Looks like it's dicey.
Yeah, he's in a bit of an extended position here. He's got villagers, kind of spread out across the map, and it might be difficult to defend this very soon.
Yeah. I see a raid incoming there with red, going straight down to a huge mass of villagers, though fortunately Aizamk actually adding in a tower just in time so he can garrison here.
Those villagers can't all fit in that tower, though, unfortunately.
Only 25 go in there. He's going to lose some then. He gets most of them in, though.
Yeah.
Oh, does he have anything in that saloon that might be able to save him here? I'm going to take a look. In the queue, nothing training there. Though he does have, obviously, 5 veteran Yolans just coming out, but I don't really think they're going to be that much use. Popping the villagers through the tower and then on the other side just to avoid... That is really clever.
Just trying to keep them alive. And here comes Skirm Shipment as well. Boneng, I was just going to say, you might as well fight that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, back on the north of the map, things are actually going very poor for Boneng by the looks of it. It has lost a few villagers, lost in the village and stuff, so I I would say Aizamk, you're in a pretty commanding position.
Yeah, very, very forward, commanding position, yeah. He's, having taken out, he did lose his own sort of, did he have a forward barracks there, or am I imagining that? He certainly lost some houses yeah, there was a Rex there, wasn't
there? There was...
over here, by his saloon.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't know that there was.
Well, he certainly lost some things in that location,
yeah,
but I think maybe waiting for a mercenary to pop out of the... he was waiting on his 11 Black Riders, and I think that was what he was waiting for, and that is what caused him to lose those houses and whatever else was in that location there. But, actually the tide is turning. I think, Boneng now losing his forward up there, going to lose perhaps another village. I have noticed, interestingly enough, that the Boneng, instead of investing perhaps into military to try and get out of this mess, going to lose a villager down here by his actual town centre there. Has Boneng noticed this?
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, he's got other stuff to worry about too, right? Like, he's got some villagers on the lamb over here. He's got...
Is that... there's an artillery foundry right here. What?
Impossible army to deal with here.
Yeah.
I think this is game for Boneng. I don't know how he can recover from this.
I think what
his villagers are just too displaced.
He's decided, I could invest in, I could just make more military units to try and defend this. That's certainly something. Manchu coming out there that definitely, very powerful units. Mercenaries always are. They can swing the game quite nicely. And I think this will help him for the time being. I'm still, Aizamk commanding a very powerful army, though. Let's see what they can do. But I was saying, instead of investing straight up into military, he has instead of gone for a town centre. I think he's thinking here more long term, where if I invest in military, I'm still perhaps not going to be able to make this, to repel his army. He's, perhaps quite far ahead of me in terms of economy. I need to catch up. I'll add in a town centre, and yes, I probably won't be able to defend as well because of that. But if miraculously I can make the game go on a bit longer, then he will indeed be able to. More villagers going down.
Run. Yeah,
Petard's coming out. What is this, Zuta?
This is madness. This is what we expected when we saw that these two players are going to play.
Yeah.
This is what I fully expected. Manchu versus Black Riders at 20 minutes. This is exactly what
I don't think anyone could expect that. Zuta, the Aizamk is just, and Boneng, absolutely. Oh, but here, he's actually Boneng managed to pull out some units.
Yeah, I'm surprised. This army is pretty scary actually. Where's it? There's the Jaegers. The Jaegers are gonna really need to. And here comes the 13 more Jaegers.
13 Jaegers, and remember, all of these are benefiting from that upgrade he sent earlier. Jaeger's very, very strong against, obviously, ranged cavalry such as Manchu. The only thing he really has to worry about here is those cavalry. That cannon all exposed there. Perhaps the cavalry can snipe it. Oh, and it goes down. What a waste of 500 resources there. But overall, I think Aizamk is pretty okay. Those cavalry not going to pose too much more of a threat.
I got the petards as well. Looks like that was for the... perhaps the town center.
Perhaps that's where they're headed to. Obviously, if you destroy all the the garrison points, then you can rush your army in there and really force the villagers down. All cavalry catching the petards there, though they do have a fairly reasonable amount of hit points. Will they be able to get to what they want to blow up before they go down? The army here looks like they're going to come and defend and does lose one petard there. Sentries or regulars being called as well.
I'm surprised that Boneng still has 44 villagers on the map. I guess most of them are garrisoned in this village on the left and then idle up here by this town center. He's just not gathering resources with what he has. And that's just because he's kind of lost a sense of map control, I guess. But I'm actually fairly impressed that he's managed to keep this many villagers alive for this long in the game.
The Summer Palace going down. Yoa, you only attack once, says the petard. There it goes. What do you think of the town centre he added in, though? I said earlier that, this isn't going to help him defend against the military Aizamk's putting on. Is he intending perhaps to go for the longer-term play here and try and win the game by making his economy better over time? I mean, he's certainly got a lot of villagers at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that needs to go with that town centre, though, is you need to have resources. Primarily, it was used to secure the gold mine that was behind it and the hunts that were off to the left. Now that those resources are no longer there, he certainly doesn't have the food to be able to make town center villagers out of two town centers, and it's just a glorified village at this point now. There's really no purpose to it. It's not going to be able to help him get back in the game. He does have a lot of gold, but I don't think he'll be able to use that.
Cavalry coming back in here, going to engage against those Jaegers. Only 3 war wagons really to defend this, but I think Jaegers, just the strength of the unit overall, is still going to actually be able to stand up to just Cav. 3 Elan's definitely going to help him out. They're coming in.
Yeah, those 3 Ulans are going to be big. And even the War Wagon staying alive. 500 hit points, pretty beefy unit overall, so...
And these aren't skirmishes, these are Jaegers. They've got so many more hit points, you need more cav accordingly to deal with them. A shipment there on the floor, I think that's going to be denied. He's not going to be allowed to collect that up. If he does, it's 1,000 coin. What can he do with it, Zua?
Yeah, nothing. I mean, he can
Monastery
use it to...
going up.
Yeah. I guess fight mercenaries with mercenaries. Unfortunately, maybe he doesn't know, but his opponent has improved mercenaries. In this game, I mean... Doppelsanders here in the mix going to help pull everything down a little bit quicker. I've often said about A's that if the game designers who originally built this game were to watch a player play, they should watch this series, because like they get to see everything that they built in the game, like actually getting played and getting used. And as a game designer, I think it would be a very rewarding experience to see like all these things that are traditionally maybe not used so much, like actually get, you know, some screen time, get some play time, and that's why I'm looking forward to the next potentially 7 games or whatever we're gonna have.
I'm so excited for this series. It's gonna be great. But at this point in the game, he's commanding over 100-point score lead. He has both of his town centers up. And, you know, having sent all of those villager shipments in the very early portion of the game, his economy is just absolutely outrageously strong at this point. I honestly don't know what Boneng can really do to come back.
No, he can't. He's dead. He's effectively dead. A couple Stratiots coming out here, but A's even has, you know, towers up on the next gold mines and stuff. There's just nowhere to gather resources. Boneng, to his credit, does stick things out to the very end and does play the game out to the very end. I would have resigned far ago, but Boneng still giving it a go, does still have some gold, perhaps trying to get out some more Stratiot and maybe make some sort of miracle recovery. Minutemen being spawned here on the right hand side, probably going to drop to these Ulans, but we'll see what these Stratiots can do. Maybe if he can get out, what is he having to? Yeah, just another 2, probably not going to be enough.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a look what he's got in queue at the moment. Boneng not on anything right here. Although some Stratiots down here doing work. Repentant Stratiots, indeed. I don't think it's enough though, and obviously we've covered the. You look at their economies right now. Aizamk outrageously far ahead.
And another big raid here on the right. It's just going to be the nail in the coffin, if anything else. I mean, you just look at the map, like, what does red have? There's nothing.
There it is. The GG. That concludes game number 1 in this series. I literally cannot believe that we saw petards here, and also, you know, just opening with a straight up with Pookie's Tavern.
Yeah, we saw the tavern. We saw a falconet being trained. Not very often. I mean, you see 2 falconets quite often from a shipment, but not very often do you see falconets trained from an artillery foundry. So we had one of those in the mix. We had some petards. We had veteran Doppelsanders, which doesn't happen every game. Obviously, the standard array of German stuff with skirms, Ulans, war wagons, etc. We saw Stratiots.
We saw a tower being built.
We saw towers being built.
Well, obviously you do see that sometimes for defensive purposes near your hunt, but actually in your town for defense, what is going on here?
Trading posts, town centers, pretty much. You know the little card that used to come with the game? Do you remember that? Like the physical copy of the game, and it had like the card that you could like accordion out, and it had like the whole tech tree and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We pretty much saw all of that. So we've experienced the card, and I don't know what else there is to experience. I'm excited to see what the next game has.
That is. We'll go right into game number 2. And for those of you in the VOD, see you in a moment.